And we welcome you to Game 2 of the NBLC Finals right here at Budweiser Gardens. The Halifax Hurricanes trying to tie up the series against the London Lightning, who have a 1-0 advantage. And we bid good evening to each and every one of you. Turn things now to Chris Croucher. And yesterday, I said this last night, everybody's got their money's worth last night. The Halifax Hurricanes were really tough on the Lightning to begin with, pressuring Royce White. That's why they got into foul trouble. But it was just interesting to see how the trio of Antoine Mason, C.J. Washington, and of course Billy White could do for this Halifax team.
You know, one of the questions coming into the series was the depth of Halifax, but I mean, when those guys perform like that, who needs it? All three of those guys had magnificent games. Antoine Mason's made some ridiculous three-pointers, and Billy White was just solid all around. Pretty much from start to finish, he was their most consistent player all game. But for Halifax, it wasn't quite enough. They're going to need one more player. It just takes one more to step up and provide the kind of effort that they're going to need to beat the Lightning here tonight.
Come in here, Audley. Come in here. We got you. We got you. Come here. Come here, Audley.
I'm not transparent.
Yeah, we know you're here. We know you're here. Audley Stevenson, we were just talking about the Halifax Hurricanes. We were blown away by how C.J. Washington, Antoine Mason, and Billy White provided so much damage for this Halifax Hurricanes team.
Yeah, that Mason-White combo was fantastic. I thought it was a great start to a series. They came out with poise and focus. You talked about hitting three-point shots. That was key for them. Fantastic start. This is a great series, guys.
And on one end, the London Lightning, even though Royce White was in foul trouble, they had Marvin Phillips, Ryan Anderson, and Garrett Williamson to clean it all up. Your thoughts first, Audley.
Marvin Phillips, he had some really timely baskets. When Halifax was making that run, inserts Marvin. He only had 19 minutes, 12 points, but really, really quality timing. That was key. I like the way Halifax defended Royce. In fact, I talked to Mike Leslie as he's walking right here on the court here. I talked to Mike, and he was satisfied with the way they defended him. The bigs, C.J. Washington, obviously Billy White, and Billy White too. I mean, not only did he at one end, he did at both ends of the floor. Like this is going to be, I keep saying this is going to be a really good series.
Your 2 cents, Chris.
Well, I think Audley hit the nail on the head with a lot of those sites there. Oh, no. I'll just have to rip them, Audley. No, it was a great effort there, and I think Audley, when you were talking about Marvin Phillips, he's really been a difference maker all playoffs long in limited minutes. I look back, Game 2, he had 15 points in 6 minutes in the first half of that game last round, and he's been that guy who's come in and brought that energy and hustle off the bench. I think we talked about Halifax needs someone to come off their bench and provide just that little extra 7-point burst that Marvin Phillips provided for the Lightning. That was the difference. So someone on Halifax, if they can provide that, can make that an even closer score than we saw in Game 1.
And if the Lightning wants to take this 2-0 series away to the Scotiabank Center in a few days, what has to be done?
I liked, there's a bunch of things the Lightning that I liked. I liked what Ryan Anderson, some key, and he's been doing this all season long, where some key shots where he just shows up. Garrett Williamson, I love his activity on the boards. Royce, again, playing his game, putting pressure as he deservedly should on the opposing bigs. And it's the kind of sticking with what they know. I think London gave him a lot of open threes that last game, and I think it was more about, I'm daring you to see what you can make. Now you sort of you make the adjustment where you say, okay, I'm playing a bit tighter now. Let me see if you can still make those shots. And now it's up to Halifax to respond.
And I really felt like a lot of those threes opened up the lanes for Billy White. We talked about all the points he got. He had so much space to operate down low because Antoine Mason and the other guys on Halifax making those threes space the floor for him.
Yeah, that was big, man.
Absolutely. Here we go.
You're excited, man. You're excited.
I'm pumped up, filled with everything else, and I hope you guys are filled up and pumped up with excitement too. Audley Stevens is here. How about that? We got everybody here tonight. See, Chris is excited as Pop Rocks. He'll be upstairs calling the game with John Van Howling. Get ready for Game 2. Hurricanes, Lightning, right here on Notchroom.tv. Anthems and then starters following this.
Okay, welcome, sports fan, to London. Budweiser Gardens. That was a terrific national anthem. So invigorating. So, like, just what this game is going to be, I think, right?
Almost as energetic as Pop Rocks right there.
Absolutely. I'm John Van Howling, along with Chris Croucher. We're going to call this NBL Game 2 final here between the London Lightning and the Halifax Raymond. A hard-fought battle last night. And London, I think, outlasted Halifax. Halifax looked a little tired at the end, probably because they're playing so many games in so many days.
Yeah, it's a rough go for Halifax. Of course, ended their series on Tuesday. And now have to play back-to-back games here in London, plus travel. That's a strenuous schedule, but it's the NBL Finals. They can't use that as an excuse. They've got to be able to come in here and try to steal a game. Anytime that you're the lower seed, you have to steal a game at some point. So for Halifax, they've got to come in here, give their best, and see if they can get that steal here.
Well, the first 2 games are in London, the next 3 in Halifax, and if necessary, the final 2 will be back here. I think June 5th, I think we would be back in London if it goes that far for this series. Well, Halifax gave London all they could handle last night. I thought Halifax played really well. Some early turnovers in the first half, I think, cost them a bit. And then I think in the fourth quarter, we did see a sag, and I think that was an energy sag. So hopefully they got a good night's sleep. Light workout today, come out with lots of energy tonight to battle the London Lightning.
And I think it hurt them, the fact that they had to play, of course, that tough schedule. But they did everything they could. They had some turnovers early that they constantly had to dig themselves out of a hole with. But they got it to a tie at the end of the third quarter there, turned it into a 12-minute game. Just were unable to make that extra little push needed to take the victory. London did a great job holding on, really tightened up defensively in that fourth quarter and made things difficult for the Halifax Hurricanes.
Well, the ceremonial tip-off, I think, had a little bit of a slanted.
A little competitive there.
I think so, yeah. He threw it totally to London Lightning side, Marvin Phillips. That was pretty funny. I thought Halifax did a good job on the three-point for London last night. Really, Ryan Anderson was held down till really came through in the clutch in the fourth quarter with a couple of big threes in that fourth quarter that really shot London Lightning into that 3-possession lead that Halifax never recovered from. But on the whole, they did a good job guarding the 3, but they did not do a good job on their former teammate, Joel Friesen.
And Joel Friesen, of course, was with the Hurricanes last year when they won the championship, has come here to London. He's provided three-point shooting, toughness on defense, and a lot of the stuff that you like to see. And this is a thing that a lot of hockey commentators like to use, but he's a guy you win with. He's a guy who just kind of plays the game the right way, does the right things on the court, and even the little things, whether it's drawing a charge or playing tough defense, he usually does those little things.
Well, he certainly came through also on scoring last night, some timely threes, since Ryan Anderson and some of the others were not making them early, but he certainly did.
He was really the only guy making them in the first 3 quarters of the game there. Of course, he had 17 points, which tied for the lead in team scoring alongside Garrett Williamson, who also had 17. It was an unusual night for London. We've seen their depth carry them, but we haven't seen their depth necessarily need to carry them. Usually one guy kind of stepped up. There was no one single player that I think really took the reins until Ryan Anderson arguably did in the fourth quarter there. For the most part, it was everyone on London being able to contribute. Not necessarily their best games, but they had everyone playing well enough that they were able to walk away with the victory.
Well, it was a familiar stat line there, right? Team scoring off the bench for London Lightning almost always is like a 60-40 split between the starters and the subs.
And it's a huge number, and it's one of the things that Aaron and I were talking about in the pregame. One of the difficulties Halifax is going to have is matching that depth. They need someone to come off the bench and put in some extra production. You only lost by 7, not a huge margin. Or pardon me, 8 points. So it's not a huge margin. If someone can come off your bench and provide that kind of production, you're right back in it. But last night there was just no one that really came off the bench and provided. For Halifax, they've got to hope someone can get going off that bench.
Well, hopefully maybe a Joey Haywood or something like that. He certainly sparkled in the few minutes that he had a chance. He didn't play a whole lot last night. Halifax pounded the London Lightning on the rebounds last night, especially on the offensive boards. I think they had 15 offensive boards last night. London needs to do something about that tonight.
Well, they had almost 20 more rebounds than London in that game. It was a dominant performance on the glass, and we talked about how those early turnovers hurt them. It negated the impact that all those extra rebounds had in the game. Instead of having those extra opportunities from that rebounding number, those 14 turnovers just turned those opportunities to dust. So instead of having 20 extra opportunities, it was only like 6 or 7. So for
trade off on the turnovers and the offensive boards.
Exactly.
Right? That's what you're trying to say.
So if you trade off those extra opportunities, it really didn't make that huge a difference. It kept them in the game as opposed to being a reason that they could have pulled ahead.
Well, getting ready to introduce the starting five for both teams.
We, of course, already have those starting lineups here. For Halifax, Tyrone Watson, Cliff Clinkscales, Antoine Mason, CJ Washington, and Billy White coming in for Halifax. Those guys did a lot of minutes for the Hurricanes last game. For the London Lightning, Kyle Johnson, Junior Cadogan, Garrett Williamson, Royce White, and Ryan Anderson in the game for the London Lightning. That's a similar starting lineup that we've seen all year. That's kind of been the go-to lineup for the Lightning, but don't forget their depth. Coming off the bench, they've got guys like Doug Herring Jr. and Marvin Phillips, who also played quite well in that game against the Hurricanes last night.
Okay, so game number 2 from Budweiser Gardens here in London, Ontario on a Saturday night. Good turnout with the crowd. There was a little bit of a short notice for the first playoff game. The word has spread and the stands are getting filled.
Much better turnout, but it's really hard to generate a crowd when there's only really 2 days to prepare for it.
Well, of course, London does an awesome job getting sponsors for the Upper Bowl here as well. Different companies in town, they give them special deals. They hand them out to their employees. Bring all their kids out. We've had up to close to 6,000 people here on occasion.
I believe we've had over 7,000 at
7,000 this year. Okay, wow. Tonight, I think we're going to probably have maybe 2,500, 3,000 maybe tonight. Lower bowl is filling up quite nicely. This may be the last chance for London fans to see their team this year. There is part of what happens in this league is there is a fair bit of turnover. People are moving up or away or down, sometimes moving on different teams in the league as well. So from last year's Game 7 finals, I think we counted 5 or 6 players that are returning from the 2 teams. The rest are all new to both the London and Halifax.
See Flash getting the crowd pumped here.
See that. See my favorite referee is here, Rich Stellick. Said hi to him in the hallway. Said, hey, you're the best. He said, thanks, I appreciate it.
Got an award for it too.
He is good. Yes, he did get an award. Well, I have seen him many, many times over the years, following Fanshawe and Western. Then my son's playing over at Redeemer University in the OCAA. So he does a lot of those games. So I've known him for about 15, 16 years now. So but good to see top quality refs, top 2 teams. 1-0 so far for London Lightning in this series. Best of 7. 2 games here, 3 games there, 2 games back if needed. So London going with their, what we call the regular starting lineup. It's interesting. You look at all the minutes played, it'd be hard to tell who are the starters. But these are the 5 that have typically started each game. But like we said, the bench plays almost as much as the starters. Contributes nearly as much offensively and defensively as well. London going very deep. Halifax. I told the coach that Billy White reminded me of Paul Pierce. He says, I think so. I said, there you go, I wasn't that far off. Except he's left-handed, but that's all good.
But was he telling the truth?
That's a good one. I thought he took it pretty well, yeah. Anyway, Billy White played terrific last night. They're going to need him again tonight. Halifax with the opening tip-off. Game on. That's Clinkscale, primary ball handler for Halifax. Well, he really took a couple shots last night. He did make a 3. I asked the coaches before the game, are you going to get Clinkscale to score a little more? That's a terrific play by Watson. Really liked his game last night. So controlled underneath. And I asked, is he a 3-point shooter, Clinkscale? And they said, yes, he can shoot the 3s. He said, well, you might need him tonight. He says, White, no double team coming. He's against Billy White. Physically unable to convert that time. That was a one-on-one battle. White held his own. Billy, that is. Royce just missing off the rim. Last night it was primarily Billy White getting the ball almost every touch. That's going to be a travel or a loose ball. Not sure what happened exactly.
I think he just kind of threw it up there and trying to avoid the travel.
No call. Behind the back and unable to convert. That would have been beautiful by Royce White, but just a little too much energy off the backboard, I think. He's pretty pumped. Coach Julius is applauding, though, the move.
Well, I think he's aware that that's 2 opportunities London had for points. If they keep doing these things, they're going to be able to get those points.
This is Mason with the ball. They need to stay tight to him tonight, London. He was terrific from the three-point line, and he draws a foul from Anderson. He scored 30 last night, I think was the final total.
A lot of that coming from behind the arc. He's got an interesting jump shot, and he almost releases it late, and I think the timing of that release kind of messes with defenders when they're expecting to jump up, try to block it, get a hand in the face, and they're just that half second late on it.
We saw that last night as well, a number of missed foul shots on both teams. So sort of a trade-off. I think Halifax shot a bit better last night than London. London left a lot on the line. Gets a razzing from the crowd, but he puts it in. Early 3-0 lead here for the Halifax Hurricanes. Watson's got the task of guarding the three-point gunner, Ryan Anderson. It's Williamson doing what he does best. Cutting down the lane, either driving to the hoop, and in that case, passing it off for the flush for Royce White.
And lots of movement there on offense. Everyone was seemingly moving around on that play. That gets the defense out of sync, creates gaps, and that time Royce White able to take advantage of one.
Watson with the ball underneath. Washington played terrific last night as well. This is Billy White with lots of room underneath on a much smaller opponent.
Looks like he got a shot in the face or the eye there.
Big mismatch here with White, I think. Yes, this is Williamson with the easy flush. Payback time. This time assist. White.
Great feed there from White, and the zip he put on that pass hit Williamson right in the hands like a wide receiver. Great play.
Playing skill again. Primary ball here. Didn't try to dribble penetration much last night. Almost solely pass and facilitated the offense. I really do think they're going to need some more offense out of him. It's Washington. That's great defense by Williamson, and Ryan steals that loose ball, pushing it up to Johnson with a wide open look, and Dugan steps out of bounds. How many times have we seen that this year?
Just clipping those heels on that out of bounds line there, and a lot of courts have a big thick border for the out of bounds lines, and I think that kind of messes with some of the teams that come in here. Just because it's such a thinner line, it's not a big colorful border like a lot of players are used to seeing.
Pressure that time by Anderson. This is Cadogan taking it hard to the hoop. Blinkskill just backs off against a much stronger Cadogan.
Just a hustle play there from Junior Cadogan, getting the steal and then finishing his bucket.
That was a trend early in the first half yesterday. Turnovers, and London did make them pay. Mason again with the ball up top. He's got Williamson on him. Anderson just got Washington held his position. Nice, beautiful lob pass. Nothing he could do.
Pass was right on the money there, just perfectly placed for C.J. Washington. He was with no one in front of him.
Trying to front the taller man, but it backfired on him. Johnson, quick pop. And that's a good sign from the London Lightning.
Cal Johnson, a guy who didn't make a ton of threes in game one there. They need someone to start stepping it up a bit behind the arc, other than just Joel Friesen. That time, Cal Johnson adding his name to the ledger.
Good persistence that time by Washington. Missed the original dunk. Another beautiful pass from Watson. Did a good job coming out of the double team, did Halifax. It's going to be a holding foul, I think, on Watson. I don't know. It's sort of referees are conferring together, but it is going to be a call against Watson. A little unfortunate for him. White was sort of off balance that time. Lightning ball with 14 shots, or seconds left on the shot clock. 9-9 the game, tie score. Cadogan usually doesn't like to shoot those threes unless it's a shot clock force on him, but typically he'll give it up. Back to Johnson, that time unable to convert. He struggled last night making his shots. It's a good sign if he can make it again. Mismatch underneath Williamson and C.J. Washington. He has just become a force under there. Started in the second half last night, and he's continued on here in the first quarter.
I think he's playing through an injury, too. We saw him miss quite a bit of time during that Island Storm series. He's putting in a gutsy effort, both in Game 1 and Game 2 here. In the early going, he's the only one who's really trying to assert himself on offense.
Well, they're really making sure they're giving him the ball every possession as well. Figuring that he's got the mismatch so far, London's going to have to adjust. This is his second one. There's 2 missed free throws already early in the game. Williamson taking the ball right at that much smaller or bigger man. Goes right up and under, and Watson just backed off. He didn't want to get a foul, I think. He's so good at that, Williamson. Here's Clinkscale going to the hoop. Tough pass underneath for Billy White. Throws it up top. Clinkscale shots clocks down to 5. Makes the pass to Washington. Haven't got much time. He gets it off just in time with Watson. Good court awareness that time.
Well, it looked like it had disaster written all over it. Shot clock winding down, but one extra pass and a beautiful one to get Tyrone Watson some points.
Johnson with the step back. A little too strong, forcing his shot a little bit, I think. We know that he has that. That's going to be a charge, absolutely. Garrett Williamson anticipated that from Billy White. He had nowhere to go.
Williamson draws so many charges on that right side of the court, right by the arc. We saw him do that at around this time last game, in fact.
Yeah, a few early charges in the quarter yesterday. I think that really affected some of the play from Billy White early until he adjusted. Started posting up instead of driving.
And that's the thing with Billy White. He's such a versatile player. He succeeded posting up because he can do both at a very high level for this league.
Watson against a much larger opponent, Royce White. He didn't stand a chance. A great post play of Royce White coming through.
And that spin move, we saw him do that early in last game too. Just a beautiful spin move to find himself right by the bucket.
Washington taken to the hoop. Takes a little bit of contact, unable to convert. No offensive board that time. White cleans it up. Good ball moving by the Lightning. Can Johnson hang in the air? No, good challenge by Billy White. Like we said, these teams only played each other twice this year. So last night, really, they had to figure out, who does what in each team. So the teams are a lot different than what they've seen in the regular season.
Yeah, in the early going of the game, there's almost a feeling out process for both teams. We're going to have a timeout here. Not sure exactly who called that one. I think it might be a media timeout looking at the time there. And so far, an interesting game. Both teams, again, almost feeling each other out, trying to figure out what adjustments the other team's made here.
Well, Halifax, I'm sure, wants to keep it close or stay ahead, of course, but I still think it worked to their detriment yesterday, coming back at least a half a dozen times from 8 or 9 points down. See if they can keep pace with the London Lightning tonight. Lightning have lots of weapons, of course. Nobody's come off the bench that we've seen so far, but they have a lot of weapons to come off the bench. (13-14) here, early in about halfway through the first quarter, between the Halifax Hurricanes and London Lightning.
And we talked about how in Game 1, there really wasn't a lot of scoring outside of 3 players, and already in this game, all but 1 point scored by only 3 players for Halifax in this game. Tyrone Watson with 4, C.J. Washington with 5, Billy White with 4. And then for London, you've got Williamson and White at 4 points each.
3 turnovers already early on here for Halifax, just 1 for London. I think that's a key stat again. According to the assistant coaches I was talking to before the game, they really wanted to limit the turnovers.
Kind of surprising, Halifax hasn't taken a 3 yet. halfway through the first, and they haven't even attempted one. With Antoine Mason on the floor and the way he was shooting in game one, you thought that might have been a focus in the early going for Halifax. See if they can get him going early.
Well, I think some adjustments by London as well. I think it'd be safe to say Mason surprised him with 30 points last night. So a lot more attention being paid to him tonight.
You know, Mason, a guy who's really been heating up. He had over 28 points last 3 games of that Island Storm series, and of course 30 last night. There's nothing more dangerous than when a volume shooter gets hot.
First 2 subs in for the Lightning. Joel Friesen, last night's star off the bench, and Doug Herring Jr. Same lineup so far for Halifax. And Watson up top, trying to be facilitator. Maurice White nearly saved it out of bounds, but that was read well by him. Watson trying to drive the lane and sort of drop it off either Washington or White that time. We've seen that a couple times already. White with the ball in the corner with Williamson on him. Driving the lane. Backing him down, looking to use his height, and an easy putback, uses his advantage. And again, another post play move by Billy White. I think London really wants to get maybe some early touches for Ryan Anderson tonight. He takes that first one right now and nearly buries the defender right in his face. A lot of switching off going on with London, looks like up top. That time, though, offensive board again. London doing a better job on that so far tonight. That was a big advantage for Halifax Hurricanes last night. It's White with Mason on him, much smaller player. He trying to take the ball to the hoop. Up and under, a little hard to pass for Garrett Williams to hang on to. I think Billy White got his hand on it, I believe.
I think so.
And again, looking inside right away with a mismatch. Halifax doing a good job recognizing, but that looks like it's going to be an offensive foul.
Yeah, I think they're going to say Washington pushed off a bit trying to get that ball.
Well, it certainly had a size advantage and did not need to do that. Quick recognition, though, by his teammate, White.
Doug Herring Jr. taking it up the court here.
Phillips into the game for Royce White. Herring with a little hesitation, dribble and a little fake on the pass, takes it right to the rim.
Just that little stutter enough to shake the defender and get himself a clear lane. Doug Herring Jr., a very crafty scorer.
Mason. Antoine Mason with the drive to the baseline and the hang time to put it in. Under pressure. Showing his versatility playing inside. You can see the teams are much more aware of what each other's team strengths are. Here's a mismatch. Herring taking it to the hoop. Unable to convert. Good challenge by Washington that time. Watson taking it to the hoop. And how did he finish that one? I thought that might have been a foul there, but he took contact and, I don't know, put it off the backboard and in.
I think Friesen wants Watson one-on-one here.
I think you're right. And he takes a challenge as well. And Washington, for the second time, backing up. Not taking the foul. 20-17, Halifax up by 3 in a row. Foul call up near the top. I believe that's on Doug Herring Jr.
Yeah, he and CJ Washington bumped into each other there.
Substitutions in for Halifax. Watson going to the bench. That's Aaron Bowen. That'll be Halifax ball, I'm sure. And number 24, Anthony Cox, also in for C.J. Washington. Mason again, driving the line, and great hang time. He got out the floor real quick.
And that was just enough to give him that space over Joel Friesen.
I think
Not
there's
sure what
a
the whistle
technical
was.
foul, I believe, called on Mason, thinking he had a foul. I believe the referee heard something as Mason ran by after that shot. Teed him up right away.
It's a silly time to take a technical, a little early for that.
Williamson puts it in. Is that the first foul shot for London?
That is.
I believe so, yes. 2 minutes left in the first quarter and no fouls attempts yet for London Lightning. They were had the most foul attempts this year, I believe. There you go. He's going to the foul line. That's Williamson. He always does a good job. A little hesitation, head fake, dribble to the hoop, takes the contact, puts it in for the old-fashioned three-point attempt.
And that's where you're not happy with that technical foul, because now this is a chance to be a 3-point swing, or pardon me, a 4-point swing in favor of the London Lightning here.
He does make it 22-21. Just under 2 minutes to go here in the first quarter. Billy White, a much smaller defender, Capers, even though Capers is a bit of a leaper, does not have the strength. There comes a double and a triple team, and that was a travel.
And just like that, London with a chance to pull ahead at a time where it looked like Halifax might be able to take off, but a couple of mental errors, and just like that, London's back at it.
Phillips with the ball. He is a three-point threat, and he makes an attempt, and he buries it right on cue. I can see it in his body language, I think. We've seen him play so much this year. I just had the sense he's going to take one.
And he has been something special in the playoffs here. Just an excellent energy guy for the Lightning, providing great minutes.
You can see the focus for Halifax. They want to pound it inside.
And it almost sounds like a mean term when I call Marvin Phillips an energy guy. He's a former Finals MVP. He's an amazing player in his own right, in absolute luxury that London's able to have him come off the bench.
Williamson underneath against Bowen. Looks like a travel forced by a good defensive position from Bowen.
London caught sleeping there.
They were, and a slam dunk with authority.
And one.
And Joel Friesen contesting that one, and that's going to be a foul. I think the ref for a second was thinking of a flagrant, but I think he totally went for the ball.
Yeah, it was definitely not worth a flagrant, but here's a great dunk there. We're going to see the replay
long
here.
Pass here. Friesen not giving up on it. No, he definitely went for the ball. No attempt at the player to hurt the player. Not a terrific finish by Anthony Cox.
Joey Haywood stepping onto the floor here for Halifax.
There's an energizer guy.
He was clutch for the Halifax Hurricanes at a time where they weren't really getting much scoring. He came in and made a couple of huge threes for the Hurricanes to keep them in that game.
I don't think Williamson's been off the court. He's a lone starter left from the starting five. He's going hard to the hoop. That looked like a travel to me. I'm not sure if Phillips going to get a shot off. He is unable to. It's a battle between him and White wins it. Definitely a point of emphasis tonight. London taking it on the chin again in the key. Halifax, have they taken a three-point shot yet?
They've taken one three-pointer this whole game.
Quite a turnaround from last night. Capers with the miss. Just under 8 seconds to go here in the quarter. See what Haywood can do. He's taking it to the hole as well. Good defensive position that time. There's going to be 1.6 seconds left for Halifax. White gets a shot off. Oh, nearly makes it. That was a good-looking shot.
Had the line, not the distance.
So Halifax up by 5.
And this is everything they could have asked for coming out of the first quarter there, to have themselves in the driver's seat right now. An excellent spot for the Hurricanes. Billy White talking with the referee just a bit there. We're going to see some highlights here. Antoine Mason with this little cut here and the little teardrop, get that one to go. I thought a lot of the good things Hurricanes did was on the inside. We kind of expected them to come out shooting threes like they did last game, and I think they kind of pulled the old switcheroo, and they've done a lot of their work on the inside, driving to the bucket. They're finding gaps in the London defense, and I think one of the most unusual ones is the fact that they're getting their transition buckets. Usually London, a team that's back up and down the floor about as quick as you could ask for, and Halifax has caught them napping a couple times in transition.
Well, I think Halifax trying to soften up London on the inside. Maybe to London starts sagging on defense. They're going to kick it out for the three-point attempts. Right now, it's all inside. It's all Halifax. It's 29-24 for the Hurricanes.
You know, it's been a balanced attack, too. You got Ty Watson at 6 points, 7 points for Antoine Mason, 5 points for C.J. Washington, 6 points Billy White, 5 points Anthony Cox. There hasn't been one player who's gone crazy out on the court. They've just constantly been moving the ball around, and each possession has been a different opportunity for a different player every time down. That's the kind of depth that we didn't really see last game. They usually were leaning on Antoine Mason and Billy White, and it looked like they started to just run out of gas a bit at the end. Now they've got some other guys who are cooking a bit, and that's not a good sign for London if you only won by 7 when it was basically 3 players doing the brunt of the scoring. Now they've got a wider variety of players who are able to finish right now.
Well, one thing we know about the London Lightning, they might have won 35 games, though not all of them were blowouts. In fact, there were a ton of close games. Coach Kyle Julius is great making adjustments during the game, especially at halftime. We've seen it many times where London is somewhat struggling, make their adjustments, and they come out flying. So it'll be London ball at half. Got Capers and Herring out there with Friesen, Phillips, and still Williamson. Owens out there, along with, say, Joey Haywood out there as well. Mason still out there as well. Watson back on the floor, and Anthony Cox. The ball up top to Phillips. For him to go inside, I think. He's one-on-one, and he's going to force it, but he fumbles the ball, and it's a turnover, and Mason's riding high, and it's going to be back out to him out top. Good transition defense that time for London. Phillips quickly out on Mason, not giving him any sniff of a 3. But Mason again gets a shot off. No offensive board again. A careless pass by Capers.
Put it right in the middle of nowhere.
And look at Watson's game. His interior play is spectacular. Such a good balance. Hard to get off the ball.
London just seems a little out of sync coming out of that break there.
Friesen with the ball up top. Here's a steadying influence, Williamson. We know he usually does the right things. It's Phillips. Is he going to lose the ball? He's going to get a charge. I can see Watson already standing there waiting for Phillips, had his head down. He did not see Watson standing in his way.
Yeah, I think Phillips mishandled the ball a bit too, and that forced him to, with nowhere to go, because he was trying to recover the ball and avoid contact at the same time here. Just lost it a little bit, and Watson able to step in the way and make him pay for it.
Well, other than the three-point shot that Phillips made, that was not a spectacular few minutes for him, as we've usually seen. Capers also with the poor turnover, quick substitution. And again, looking inside, this is Cox. Bowen's going to step outside with it, but he pounds it right back in. This is Criswell in, defending now, just shoving him in the chest. Good change of hands there by Bowen, but he's unable to convert. Herring starting to move the ball up in the corner, and there's Friesen again. Is he going to be the smart one for London? They have lots of weapons, we know. Every single player from Halifax is driving to the middle of the key.
And they're getting the space when they get there, too. They're able to finish almost every time.
Royce White back in the ball game. Griswold taking a long three-pointer, and I'm not sure that's really into the playbook of what London Lightning's looking for. I don't. Coach Kyle Julius, I can see him muttering on the sideline. Griswold with the defensive board, though. London doing a much better job keeping Halifax off the offensive boards. But Halifax doing a much better job getting interior positions for their shots. They're still up by 6. It'll be huge for Halifax to pull a game out tonight.
Well, again, if you're the lower seed, you have to steal one at some point. So for Halifax to get that done early would be very exciting for them and less exciting for London Lightning fans.
Williamson finally going off for his first break of the game. Ryan Anderson in for him. Cadogan in for Herring as well. No foul called. Friesen calling for a foul. There was some contact, but I thought it was good defense by Halifax, staying with them. Joey Haywood, the Energizer Bunny, even his coach called him that. White looking again inside. Good ball moving. Back out to White. Is he going to try a 3? No, he's going to drive the baseline, kicks it out. That's Haywood with a travel, I believe. Yes, he took an extra step to try to get that shot off. Called by our favorite referee, Rich Stark.
That's another turnover there, but they've actually been kind of handy. They've been better with the ball than London in this game. London 7 turnovers. That's 5 on the Halifax Hurricanes.
Anderson with a wide open 3. Can he bury it? A little too strong. That's Royce White with the offensive board. And that spin move again. Ball gets knocked loose by Cox that time. Just a little too long taking what he will make up his mind, I think, that time, Royce White.
Well, I think they'd seen that move before and knew where the ball would be when he came down.
There's Watson again. Nice interior pass. So White's got such a terrific position again. Kicks it back out. That was a tough pass for Cox to hang on to. Down to 2 seconds on the shot clock. Watson, that's going to be a foul on Friesen. And again, Watson just putting a physical presence in there. Well, I saw that last night, pursuing a lot of loose balls. So Cox goes off. He played a terrific few minutes in there, being a physical presence as well. And coming in with C.J. Washington.
Yeah, Washington had a nice long rest here. He was playing really well before he sat out. Keep an eye on him.
Back door cut by Bowen. Friesen staying in front of him. Oh, nearly put it in his own net, did White that time. Dugan with the pull-up jumper, and he makes it. He usually only takes that when he feels his team needs him to do it.
Yeah, he's a lot like Williamson. That he only gets his buckets when he feels like no one's really got it going right now. And that time, Cadogan, excellent finish.
Washington underneath. He just shoves Ryan Anderson out of the way, but no foul called. Thought it could be easily an offensive foul. And he throws the ball away. Good rotation that time by the London Lightning on defense. So Johnson back in as well for the Lightning. So basically back to starting lineup other than Criswell. Williamson getting well-deserved rest. Royce White up top with the ball. Everybody cutting through the key. Criswell does not take the three-point shot this time. That's Billy White knocking it out. Sort of almost over the back of White, but that was good hustle with his length. He was able to deflect that pass. Again, in isolation, Billy White welcoming and challenging Royce White. That's going to be a block on Billy White. You can see him taking a man-on-man there, clapping his hands. Come on, take me on.
He really wanted that one-on-one. That time, Royce White moved just a little too much for him and was able to get Billy White caught blocking.
Washington back on Royce White now.
And I gotta say, we've got a slower pace this quarter, and I think that really suits Halifax there.
Royce White able to get a loose ball down to 2 points. Difference here, Halifax up by 3. Or 2, I'm sorry. 33-31. Kyle Johnson just hanging on to Antoine Mason. Now a quick double team on Watson, but there's the first look for Mason at the 3, and he buries it. That's really the first time London's given him an open look, and he buries it. Johnson, tit for tat.
Very important answer there from Kyle Johnson. Not only does it keep pace, but it keeps the momentum on your side.
Good block, good help by Criswell and Anderson that time. And trailer, Johnson finishes with a flurry.
Kyle Johnson having one of the best games of the playoffs so far. He's having a really big night for the Lightning, and they need someone to step up and really make some of those long-range shots. He's one of the guys who's been able to do that this game.
Ryan Anderson just a little too physical on Joey Haywood. A good jump out on defense. It's a tie ball game. Halifax was up for most of the first quarter and part of the second, but it's tie ball game. Halfway through this second quarter. A lot of the offense seems to go through Watson, doesn't it?
A lot of it.
Seems to be the facilitator. White makes him pay with a 3-point from the corner.
I agree with you. John Watson does a lot of the things in the post. He really moves the ball well for a big man.
Criswell just missing that 3-point attempt. And Mason again pushing the ball hard. And that's a silly foul by Criswell. Never got in a good defensive position. You could see from half court that Mason was going to drive to the hoop, and he never got himself set.
We're going to have a media timeout here on the floor. Very interesting. Of course, Halifax really not letting go of this lead. They've really slowed the pace down. They're kind of doing everything that you want to do when you have the lead. They've slowed London down to a crawl. They've got the pace behind them. They're making some of their threes. They're 2 for 5 in the game now. Antoine Mason, if he gets going, is the most dangerous shooter probably in this series. So for the Halifax Hurricanes, a lot of promising things happening for them right now.
Yeah, they are controlling the ball well tonight. They do have 8 turnovers, but London's right behind them with 6. Let's see the rebound battle.
14-9 there for the Halifax Hurricanes. They're jumping out to an early lead in that category. I think one of the things that they won't be so happy about, already up to 8 turnovers. They've been bailed out a bit because London has the same number there, but definitely something they were focusing on fixing, and doesn't really look like it's been fixed. They could be leading by a bigger margin if they just hold on to the ball here. We're going to see that nice little jumper from Junior Cadogan on the replay here. Just perfect.
Well, what's jumping out at me on that stat sheet now I've had a chance to study is 13 assists for Halifax. How much does Watson have? I would be interested to know.
Well, Watson's got 2 assists. The guy that's impressed me with his passing is C.J. Washington, 4 assists in the game. When he was playing, he was doing a really good job of facilitating. We didn't see him move the ball out of the post as much in game 1, so it's almost a recognition by Washington that when he's got the ball in the post, something's being left open, and he's been able to find the open man.
Well, a definite emphasis on pounding it inside tonight for Halifax, and it's paying off with a 3-point lead here in the second quarter.
I mean, Halifax 30 of their 39 points in the paint in this game. Wow.
So it looks like it should be Mason going to the line after that foul by Criswell. Makes it to extend the lead to 4.
Huge scoring night for Mason. He had 1 point in the first quarter, and he's already up to 12 here in the second quarter. Pardon me, 11 points in the second quarter.
Well, again, doing a good job, Halifax there on Ryan Anderson, the top 3-point shooter in the league. See if they can get him off. This possession looks like White inside with Washington. And he finishes with his left hand that time. Just holds him off with his big shoulders. Washington is no slouch. He's a big guy, too. Haywood still out there on the floor for Halifax. He can be an instant offense as well. Quick pass over to Washington, unable to convert. Anderson, that pull-up jumper is deadly for him too from the foul line. Yeah, everybody's expecting him to drive in the hoop,
and he usually he catches the closeout when he's able to do that. He usually beats him and makes that little floater.
Watson again, nice interior pass to Billy White, but a good help defense that time by London. And Watson with the little floater again. Their teammates really looking for each other at Halifax. They're up to around 15 assists already. Good sharing of the ball. Johnson with a stop and pop over the much taller opponent. Billy White just flashed to the key.
That's going to give him 10 points in this game, the majority of which come in the second quarter.
Yeah, he's been quiet the last few games in the playoffs. We know he can score because we've seen his 50-point game here this year. Mason just doing a terrific job of sort of fooling the defender. Hesitation dribble, taking a little contact, a little teardrop. Looking inside again to White. Cadogan's driving to the hole. Deflected that time by White with his long arms. Deflected that pass in the corner for Criswell. It's a 3-point game. 3.5 minutes to go in the second quarter. Criswell and Johnson coming off, I believe. Phillips and Friesen back in. So 2 bigs in. You don't see that very often with the Atlanta Lightning. Phillips and Royce White, but I think they need some bigger presence out there.
Yeah, we've seen them use this lineup quite effectively in Game 1. This worked out pretty well. Marvin Phillips ended up being open for a lot of shots in this set.
Just a little too late on the shot clock. Good recognition trying to get into Cadogan, but he did not have enough time to get that shot off. But he made the basket.
It's too bad too. That was a pretty silky jumper there.
Fadeaway turnaround.
Yeah.
Klingscale back in the game. They're really looking to Mason these last few possessions here. Inside to White. Mason just throws it a little bit out of his reach, but that was a good idea.
Ooh. Billy White just grabbing onto Joel Friesen's arm there. Friesen tried to run around the screen.
You don't think it was a bit of a flop there?
No, he got a
good hold of him.
Made a pretty nice tug there.
All right. I saw him go flying. I just caught it at the corner of my eye. I was watching where the ball was at the time. Looked pretty dramatic to me. Getting the ball into Royce White. Floater just lets it go early. That was against... Who was that against? Dixon, I believe, is in the game for his first few minutes in the game as well. Yes, number 22. Ronaldo Dixon. That's about 4th different defender that Royce White's had him on tonight. That's Watson with the floater, but he got driven to the outside of the hoop. Comes White pushing the ball up with Cadogan. The step over, can he finish? And he does. His strength again coming through, and they take the lead by 1 point.
You know, when he gets rumbling to the basket, there's just no real way to stop him. It's like a bowling ball, and everyone on defense is a pin.
Mason, another open look. That time unable to convert. There's an offensive board. Unable to convert, though, and that's off of Halifax last, I believe. Yes. One of the rare offensive boards for Halifax tonight. Hurricanes with a timeout. They've given up the lead. London has adjusted, and they're up by 1.
You can see how much respect each coach has for each other, that anytime there's even a slight dip in momentum for their team, anytime there's even just a 1-point lead for London, they call the timeout, reset everything, figure out what's going wrong, make adjustments, because they know how dangerous the other team can be. So again, a lot of tentativeness, a lot of careful planning from both teams early in this game.
Well, that was a Halifax timeout because London came back from that deficit to take the 1-point lead.
Each team, since we talked about the turnovers, about the halfway point of this quarter, only one turnover each for the rest of the way here. And that's much better ball control for both teams, really. No one could be too happy when they're at 9 turnovers each.
Really significant, I think, that London's only been to the free throw twice. One was for a technical foul, and one was for the old-fashioned three-point play.
And it's interesting, too, because London, a team that usually gets there a ton, whether it's guys like Williamson or Royce White, they usually find their way to the free throw line quite a bit in a game. It's a surprisingly low number there.
Well, you wouldn't expect anything less from the division champs in the finals here in the NBLC. Close game, 1-point difference here with 2 minutes to go in the second quarter. And a lively crowd as well. Anderson with a look. I think Friesen got pushed out of bounds trying to crash the offensive boards. He really does draw a lot of attention, doesn't he?
Yeah, whether it's charges or whether it's annoying a defender to the point of pushing him, he really knows how to get himself the calls in his favor.
Anderson, a little isolation on Mason here. This is White up top. And his strength again just follows through with his upper body, able to put the little layup in and get the foul.
And that's something I'm glad they're going back to. We didn't see a ton of it in game 1 where they had White set up just around the 3-point line and make that cut in. Usually we saw him either posting up or down low getting the ball, or when he was at the top, he passed it immediately. I think one of the things that they didn't really try last game that might look good here is getting White to do that and make those cuts to the basket. Great hustle from Phillips. Unfortunately, it's not rewarded.
Bounced off his knee. Everybody applauding the effort. 3-point lead here now for Lightning. They come all the way back. They were down by 6 at one point. Mason out top, he's so dangerous out there. Tonight he's been dangerous driving into the lane, and again, here he is again, unable to convert that time, but he got to the middle of the lane where he wanted to be.
I think White wants to go at it again.
White keeping a little bit better of his cool tonight, I think. He is getting hacked a few times. Thought maybe there was a foul that time, but did get knocked out of bounds by Halifax. That will be London ball. Keeping his composure is important for Royce White. Not losing his intensity, but keeping his composure. He always does a lot of talking on the court as well. Friesen with a beautiful ball fake. That is going to be a block. He's in the restricted area. Friesen fearless. Friesen is what we're going to call him.
Well, I think he saw exactly where the Halifax defender was standing there and just decided, well, hey, might as well go for it. He was actually just a touch outside of the restricted area.
You think
there.
so?
It was
have
close.
To look closer at his
it was
feet
close.
there.
If we can see that replay one more time, that was very close.
The ref had no hesitation. You're right.
Gonna give the ref a break on that.
Maybe he wasn't set though.
True.
He jumped outside of that restricted area, trying to get outside quick. I don't think he was quite set.
Can we get that one more time?
Let's have a look here. See if he got his feet set. If
He lifted his feet.
He did.
When Friesen just before the contact, he left his feet.
He did a good job trying to get out of that restricted area. But Friesen, like I said, fearless Friesen. I think that's a good nickname for him. They extend their lead till 5. Phillips with a good double team, and he steals the ball away from Mason. Mason, the most dangerous player on the court right now for the Halifax. Billy White sitting off for the last few minutes. I'm sure we'll see him back in here at the third quarter. Phillips, shot clock not really down. They had time, but takes an awfully long three. Looking inside this time for Washington. That was a good help defense, but a nice soft touch off the backboard. Cuts the lead to 3. This should be the last possession here, I would think, for the Lightning in this half. Down to 5 seconds. It's going to be up to Cadogan. That's going to be a kick ball. It's actually not a bad play by whoever did that for Halifax. Stops the clock. I think he had him beat off the dribble. The clock doesn't get reset to 14 because there's not enough time left in the quarter, so it stays at 3.6. So London trying to take advantage of every small thing here. They call a timeout with 3.6 seconds left to try to set an out-of-bounds play. (50-47). 3.6 seconds left on the shot clock. Will London be able to extend their lead, or will it stay close at the half? It really is probably, other than the last 3 or 4 minutes of this second quarter, it's been almost all Halifax, really. They played so well, but a little inconsistency at the end there. Billy White went out, and I think that had some effect on their play. Doing a much better job tonight sharing the ball. 15 assists already in this half for the Halifax Hurricane. London is the league leader for the year. I think they average something like 26. So right now they're on 12. Mason is the scoring leader, number 14. So Royce White, I'm wondering if they're going to look for something inside as the leading scorer for London with 12. Not sure if they're going to go for an open quick look on the 3 or they're going to pound it inside. We'll have to see where the ball is from out of bounds. Looks like it's right in front of the Halifax bench almost. Anderson is out there. 2 bigs are out there still as well. White and Phillips. I would think this is going to be something inside for Phillips. Oh, terrific play, and that hits a beautiful out-of-bounds play for the London Lightning. A little spin move by Phillips underneath. Jumps up high in the air for that lob pass from the sideline. See that spin move? Gets himself in a position right on the basket. Takes the contact. And off the backboard it goes. Oh, still 1.2 seconds left. That only took a second and a half to happen. And adding insult to injury makes the foul shot to extend it to 6 points. 1.2 seconds left. Clinkscale does not get his shot off in time. 53-47 on a terrific, well-coached, well-executed, out-of-bounds play for the London Lightning. So 53-47. Take a look at some of the stats here. I know that Aaron and Chris will also be talking about some of them as well. Bench scoring again. London typically has more bench scoring than the other team. This time it's 15-7. But look at those points in the paint for Halifax Hurricanes. 36 out of their 47 are from inside the paint. Usually you see that with London. They do have 32 actually. Now what really did hurt the Halifax Hurricanes, even though their turnovers are better than last night, the points off of turnovers that they've given up from those are not looking good. 15 points for London off the Halifax turnovers. London only gave up 7, so there's an 8-point difference, which is almost what the lead in the game is as well. Take a look at some of the leading scorers. We know that Antoine Mason has 14. Tyrone Watson with 10 as well. And Billy White, off to a hot start in the game, has 9. He was sitting for the last few minutes. Over on the London Lightning, Kyle Johnson has not shot the ball very well in the last few games, but came alive in that second quarter and has 10 points. Only one other player with double figures, and that's Royce White. Again, Halifax doing a good job on Ryan Anderson on the three-point shooter. So right now, 53-47 is the score at halftime here. The second game of the NBL Finals, a rematch between Halifax and London Lightning from last year. So we're going to throw it over to Aaron with Audley and a guest for the halftime.
Check 1, 2.
Okay, we welcome you to the Knoxham halftime, 53-47. London Lightning with a 6-point edge. Joining me, Audley Stevenson, and of course, broadcaster of the Halifax Hurricanes, Vince Williams. And let me first and foremost say it's a pleasure to have you down here at Budweiser Gardens this evening.
I appreciate it. It was a highly anticipated trip. I had to come. I had to see what this is all about, man. Being in this building is magnificent for the first time. Just seeing the electric. I heard about it. I heard the myth, and it's been all and everything it's worth just watching and being part of it. Great half of basketball in the first 2 quarters, and I'm pretty excited for the next 3 and fourth.
And you came here right on time, too. Your Hurricanes, however, putting on a phenomenal display as they did yesterday. Antoine Mason filling up the points all of a sudden.
Well, Antoine has been outstanding throughout the playoffs. I mean, he came into the playoffs on a very good streak. I mean, he had the last few games. He was very good for the Halifax Hurricanes, and it just carried over into the playoffs. He had an outstanding first-round series against the Moncton Miracles, and he just carried over in the Atlantic Division Final versus the Island Storm. He's an amazing talent, man. He can get it done from all facets of the basketball game. He can hit the shot from the outside. He can dribble, drive. He can finish through contact. He's a great defender, as you've seen in the first 2 quarters. Sometimes there was a matchup where he had to guard Royce White, and he did a good job of guarding the MVP in this league. So Antoine's done an outstanding job for the Hurricanes.
I really appreciated his development over the course of the season. We saw him come off the bench to start the year, and he showed that he was valuable enough to be inserted into the starting lineup. His 3-point shooting has consistently gotten better, and now he's a legitimate go-to guy in the squad.
And what do you think of this matchup between Billy White and Royce White? Last night we seen Royce White's really struggling, but now Royce White's getting his space right open, and he's leading scoring for London with about 12 points.
Well, I got to tell you, I love the way this game started off. When you do a comparison to Game 1 and Game 2, Game 1 was very much a feeling out between both squads, trying to see what each other was all about. Weren't really sure. Game 2, very decisive, very clear, and it was a ball game right from the jump.
What do you think about that, Vince?
Well, I mean, Royce White, you got to give him lots of props. He's not the MVP for a reason. I mean, he's done an outstanding job all season long for the London Lightning, and there has been a chess match in the first 24 minutes between these 2 teams. Billy White, on the other hand, I mean, he's done a good job as well, and you could see that at times the London Lightning had to double team Billy White, and I think it's a little bit the London Lightning did a don't-shiny job of actually coming into this series and watching game film, because the Island Storm did a lot of double teaming Billy White. Yeah. Billy White had to fight through a lot of double teams and make some outstanding passes to hit the open shooter. In this series, you're going to see just about the same, because they got to have an answer for Billy White. Billy White, another player who's been outstanding for the Hurricanes coming into this series. So if they can neutralize Antoine Mason and Billy White, they have a pretty good chance of taking the championship. That is the London Lightning.
And how about those wise shot choices? Halifax shooting 54%, London Lightning closing out the half, shooting 59%, almost close to 60%. But however, the cons about it is both clubs are averaging 10 turnovers thus far.
Yeah, it's all about taking care of the ball. I remember speaking to Mike Leslie before the season started, Halifax head coach, and he kept talking about the little things. We got to take care of the ball. This is going to be a tough series. We can't take anything for granted. And the 10 turnovers, I mean, it's better than it were yesterday, but I'm sure you'd like to lower that number a whole lot.
And one thing you could appreciate, too, the points in the paint pretty close, but Halifax with a +6 inside. So pretty much you got to expect more from the front court.
Well, going back to the offensive rebounding or reboundings in general, we saw Halifax had a huge advantage last night. They got a bit of an edge this year. I'm sure Coach Kyle Julius is talking to them about ensuring they're boxing out guys, bodying guys, making sure people are taking up their space and securing those rebounds.
And how about that? Well, we go over to the keys for the second half. If you're a Halifax, what do you got to do to knock this series up?
Well, Halifax has to limit the mistakes. They got to be good with the basketball. Ball security, and they got to be defensively responsible. They can't have the easy runouts, the dunks, the layups, the alley-oops as at the half there. That alley-oop on the inbound, that just can't happen if you're in a championship series. You got to know that. You got to be up on that inbounder, and you can't allow that easy inbound alley-oop coming out of the inbound there. But, I mean, if they can be responsible, like I said, defensively, and they can't allow London to get on any type of runs, and they can hit some shots and make sure that they're defensively responsible, rebounding, and limiting the second chance opportunities, they should be okay. On the London Lightning side, just continue doing what you're doing. Get the ball inside the Royce. If Royce doesn't have the option, get it outside and let their outside shooters knock down some shots. I mean, they've hit some big-time threes in that first 24 minutes, contested threes. But in the second half, you're probably going to see it open up a little bit more if Royce can continue to go to work.
2 cents, Audley.
Yeah, I mean, the three ball I think is big. It was big for them last night. Tonight, it's not as impactful. No team has hurt each other with the three ball yet. I expect to see in the second half a whole lot more be jacked up and make this a real interesting ball game.
And here it is. It's either we're going to see the Hurricanes put the Lightning in the ball, cap it off, or we see the Lightning strike. Take your pick, but we got to see what happens in the next 24 minutes. 53-47 is the score. As always, Audley, thank you for coming over to the Nottingham halftime. And, of course, Vince Williams, always a pleasure. Great to see you for the first time and enjoy the second half.
Legends. I'm here with the legends. Look at this. Awesome, guys.
Yeah, we try to be legends, but 6-point edge right now. We step away for a commercial timeout, but when we return, more second half action right here on Knoxstrom.tv. We're at the home for the NBL Canada Finals.
Welcome back, sports fans. London Budweiser Gardens here on a Saturday night. The second game of the finals for the NBLC. I'm John Van Houwelingen, along with my partner and expert analyst, Chris Croucher. Calling the game for you here between Halifax Hurricanes and the London Lightning. Defending champions and the current league champions.
The reigning champions in Halifax there. Of course, the first title that went out east was the one last year, won by the Hurricanes in their inaugural season.
And it'll be Halifax ball. Well, they played very well, I think, up till the last 3 or 4 minutes of that second quarter and sort of sagged. London turned it on and got the 6-point lead. They were down by 6.
You know, it's been a bit of a frustrating one for the Hurricanes because they played well as a whole, but they have these downturns of momentum that just really hurt them long term.
There's an offensive board for Washington playing against Phillips. Phillips sticking with him. That time, nice left hand scoop. Well, Phillips and White, again, interesting lineup here for the beginning of the second half for the Lightning. Typically, they sub each other out.
Well, London closed up the gap in rebounds, and I think that might have been the bigger core here. C.J. Washington.
Continuation for Garrett Williamson. Takes a pounding and keeps on ticking. Well, that's Timex, I think, right? Yes.
Well, C.J. Washington looked like he got a bit of a shot in the mouth there.
Well, it was an awkward play because Williamson was driving hard to the hoop. Washington was not in a good defensive position. So you're going to get the foul called on you even though you didn't do much.
Yeah, it's enough that the ref's going to favor the ball handler there.
You've got to play fundamental defense to get rewarded by the referees. If you're out of the position, they're going to give it to the offensive player. Williamson, an uncharacteristic miss. Ball up top to Watson, looking for Mason again, and Anderson just sticking with him. 2 3-point gunners guarding each other. Williamson sort of in trouble here with Watson. Good patience by Watson. Just can't convert that. White takes it right off the rim. And that's another foul on Halifax. And White just holding and standing his ground, trying to draw the foul. He does on Billy White.
That's a costly one for Billy White. That's going to be his 4th. I think Mike Leslie is even saying, why are you doing that?
That's the reason he was sitting in the end of the second quarter for the last 3 or 4 minutes. It showed on Halifax as London came roaring back. They need him to be in the game and to be in the game, if you know what I'm saying.
It was just kind of a reckless swipe at Royce there that time that led to the foul. I understand trying to make plays, but when you're sitting at 3 fouls at the half, you know, you can't really take those chances. Leaving him in, though.
They need him. That's contact from Cadogan, trying to prevent the dribble penetration by Klinkskill that time. Quick substitution in here. Is White coming out? He is. You're right. Coach playing the percentages here. They're down by 8. So let's see what happens. Somebody's going to have to step up here for Halifax to prevent this from ballooning up any farther. Klinkskill under pressure from Cadogan. Down to 10 seconds on the shot clock. Cadogan just staying in front of a much quicker player. There's a long 3-point attempt. We haven't seen Klinkskill shoot much. That time, defense got rewarded. Cadogan going hard to the hoop, but Halifax staying with him. It's Watson again with that pass. His teammate unable to hold on to it. It was a little bit of a hot potato. White comes up with it. Fade away. Did he keep it in control? No, he cannot convert. Good pressure that time by Phillips. He was not conceding anything easy.
Lots of back and forth, and there's been nothing easy on both sides of the court here.
Phillips,
wide open.
Wide open 3. Could have swung it once, but he made it. Anderson was sitting in the corner by himself, but Phillips makes him pay. Inside they go again. Phillips is in there for a reason. That time he got taken advantage of by C.J. Washington, who has played well this game.
Yeah, it's 11 points for Washington. That time it was just a really nice move to ditch Phillips.
Williamson again just going hard to the hoop, and Cox hangs on to his wrist. He just senses when he's got that lane or that slightest of openings to take it hard to the hoop, and he goes with no hesitation, does Garrett Williamson.
And it's that no hesitation part that makes him so dangerous. Before, you've got a defender who will run up thinking, ooh, maybe he might shoot, maybe he might run, but Williamson's already decided before the ball even hits his hands, and that time he was on his way to the basket, and Cox, out of position, forced to try and go for the steal.
Again, foul shots missed at the foul line, and uncharacteristically by Williamson, who's one of the better free throw shooters on the London Lightning. It's just a repeat of last game. Makes his second. So 10-point lead here early in the third quarter. Let's see what direction this game is going. Where is the offense going to come from for the Halifax Hurricanes? Cadogan holding on to Watson. He was going down for a post position after that switch. Unsuspecting fan had no idea. Mason with a step back teardrop. How many times have we seen that in the first half? At least 4 or 5 times, I think.
Just an excellent bucket from Mason. He hasn't been doing a ton of his damage from outside like we saw last game.
And again, a great cut from the weak side. Good patience on London to get into Williamson, and he just hesitates enough to get the man in the air and takes the foul. Now he's got to start making his foul shots. He's getting enough practice. I think this will be, what, his 5th and 6th this half, I think.
Well, this will be his 6th of the game. Don't know about the half there, but Williamson, a guy who's really adept at getting himself to the line, getting those points there, and usually he makes it. Wanted to wait until after in case I might jinx
I don't
it.
want to jinx him, I got you.
Makes the second.
Yeah, so the free throws are now coming in London's favor, I see. They hardly had any free throws in the first half. Here's Klinkscale going hard to the hoop with a drop-off. Under pressure was Washington again. He's able to get it from outside. Mason races to the three-point line, but he's way too strong that time. Another offensive foul. Watson blocked. This is quite a scramble of events. The shot clock got reset. I don't know if that ball hit the rim from the corner or not. I think it did, I guess. The shot clock did get reset.
Ooh, deep three there from
Klinkscale.
Klinkscale.
A three. It's something I had talked about when we were talking about the assistant coaches, wondering if he would score or attempt some more threes anyway. They said he was a decent three-point shooter. Wow. That's all I can say. Wow, from Royce White.
Just pretty footwork in the post there from Royce White.
That really sets him apart, doesn't it? His footwork in the post. It's a 9-point lead here, but you get the feeling momentum's going London's way right now. That's sort of what the game feels like. Anderson in big trouble. Gets hacked and peeled out at the last minute by Bowen. Coach Kyle Julius very animate on the sideline with Cadogan. I think there was a play being run that Cadogan did not follow. And it gives him a pat on the butt on the way out. You gotta love that tough love, right? You know it's love, but it's tough.
Well, you know, Coach Julius, a former player, he in fact actually was a member of the London Lightning in the very first season of NBL Canada. So you know he's got that mentality and that ability to speak with his players like a player. I think that really helps him communicate with the guys, and they understand the difference between when it's tough love or whether they've broken a play or something. They know that he knows how to say it to them.
Okay, still a 10-point lead. London keeping the 10-point advantage here. 7 minutes left here in the third quarter. Ball quickly double-teamed, and a terrific pass again by Watson. Just a great court vision. His player Who was that? That slash down the line there. Was that Bowen?
I believe so.
And he's going to go to the foul line. Big cheer for Maurice Bolden coming on the floor. He coming off a personal tragedy this week. And so he was gone for the last night's game, but he's back here and coming back into the third quarter. Probably the best place for him to be on the court where he does take his mind off of things. A big round of applause from the crowd for that. So Bowen off that excellent pass again from Watson at the foul line. Cuts into the London lead. Anderson, unable to hang on to it, but that was a terrific play. Ball turned over. Clinkscale putting the pressure on, driving to the hoop. What happened there with Cadogan?
Cadogan ran into just a brick wall of a screen there.
From Watson, I believe.
Full speed, too. Yeah, that was Watson.
Watson, no ill effect. Freezing in and out. This game feels like it's going back to Halifax's momentum last few possessions. It is only a 6-point game. A terrific bounce pass underneath again by Watson. He is in the middle of everything. They've got it cut down to 4. White with the ball in the post. He gets double team, but just again another step around softly off the backboard.
Well, he's got so much power that a defender really needs to bear down and hold their ground, but then he puts that finesse on you and you're all of a sudden kind of grasping at air there.
Top to Bowen, down to 6 seconds on the shot clock. He's driving to the hoop. He does make that easy scoop. Halifax not going away. And Maurice White just raced down to the paint, and Cadogan rewarded him with the easy lob.
Yeah, they caught Halifax napping a bit coming back that time.
And the handoff pass that time, that was a nice little weave play by Halifax, and that time Watson is the recipient of the pass. He's going to the foul line. I believe a timeout called here by...
I believe that's a media timeout.
Media timeout. Is that us?
That's us.
You need a timeout? We're going to put you in timeout? Like I tell my granddaughters, you going in timeout? So, Halifax back within 6 again, and they're at the foul line, so they can cut it to 4.
That's going to be important for the Hurricanes there. Of course, you don't want to let London get any sort of a foothold, and by closing this gap, that'll be a big thing for the Halifax Hurricanes. Both teams shooting the ball really well tonight. London shooting 60%, Halifax 51%. Unfortunately, it hasn't been as great from the three-point line. We haven't seen a ton of attempts there in this quarter, in fact. I think it's mostly been play on the inside. Just to illustrate that, 48 of the 64 points Hurricanes have, all in the paint. We talked about how depth has also been a big part of this series. Not a ton of bench scoring this game. 18 points for London, 11 for the Halifax Hurricanes.
Well, you can see some of the replays there. That's what I'm talking about. Really admire Watson's game for his interior passing in particular. This is where Anderson gets bailed out, I believe. Yes, he does. Totally an awkward position there. Some good replays there. This is all without Billy White on the floor as well for Halifax.
Yeah, he took that foul early and has had to sit out for most of this quarter.
He's out there talking to his teammates, though, even though he's still got his warm-up shirt on. He's still pretty engaged. There's some super fans with the spiky black and yellow hair. On the big shot clock here at the Gardens. So Watson going to the line to cut into the 6-point lead. A little over 5 minutes here in the third quarter. So different shot. Saw that in warm-up. I wasn't sure what I was seeing, but We have not seen him take any jump shots, hardly, or any outside shot whatsoever. All inside play.
He does have just off to the right or left of the basket. He's able to make a shot about mid-range there once in a while, just outside the key. It's not a weapon he goes to as often, though.
No. Doug Herring Jr. on the floor with Klingscale guarding him. Kyle Johnson back on the floor as well with Bowen guarding him. Herring Jr. trying to take advantage of the height. Klingscale just hangs on for dear life. That's going to be at least the second foul in the last couple minutes here for Klingscale.
Herring was effective in Game 1 playing against Klingscales there. He's able to take advantage of that size mismatch.
We see that all season long with Doug Herring Jr. Almost always has a mismatch on the guard side. Friesen got his feet set, and he converts on the double bounce.
Hey, it's not about how, it's how many, and that's going to be 3 put up on the board there. Great shot there from Joel Friesen.
So that extends it back to 8. Mason back on the floor after a short break. Double teamed. He's washing way outside with Klingscale. Phillips on Klingscale, that's a huge mismatch. Where's the mismatch on the other side? Oh, that's Herring with Washington. Unable to convert, and Bolden with the defensive board holding his position. That was a near turnover. Johnson got to his spot. That's 2 threes from the corner, unattended for London, and a quick timeout by the Halifax Hurricanes.
Well, the Hurricanes have brought that down to a 4-point difference, now all the way up to 11. Just an excellent scoring output there from the London Lightning. Kyle Johnson, just a pretty jumper right there. He's a guy who, he hasn't taken a ton of shots tonight, but he's made a lot of the ones that he's taken. He's been one of the guys who's consistently making it from beyond the arc for London. It's going to give him 16 points in the game. Pardon me, 13 points in the game.
Well, that's 2 wide open threes from 2 different players, Friesen and Johnson. And Halifax left unattended in the corner. 76-65, timeout Halifax, 11-point lead here partway through the third. So this is sort of a repeat of yesterday a little bit, where Halifax has repeatedly come from behind, closes the gap. In the first half of this game, they were mostly in control to the last few minutes of that second quarter where they let it get away from them. But this is a repeat of last night where they had to make 6 or 7 times they came back from 8 points down to close the game. And that just tires you out. I keep saying it. They've already got a hectic schedule. 4 games in 10 days. 2 trips out east already, back and forth to Storm and to their own place, back and forth, and then out here to London. It's got to wear on them, and this is without their leading scorer, Billy White, as well. How much longer can you keep him out?
I think you might have to sit him for most of this third quarter here. With 2 fouls away from being out of the game, I think you need to make sure that he's able to play in that fourth quarter, that they really need him. Oh, he's giving his guys a big pep talk on the bench there. He's still talking to the team. He's still engaged.
I hear you, but they're 11 points down, and it feels like London's ready to blow it open at any time. See if Halifax can respond once again.
I think I agree with you. If they don't respond here, that maybe you have to put White in, but I think you want to hold off as long as you can. We've seen them fight and close that gap before in this game. That'll help.
And Haywood off the bench with a big 3. Well, yes, they did do it a number of times last night, and in the end they lose by 7, but you're right, they do have the ability to keep coming back. Johnson with a soft touch, his teammates feeling that he's got the touch going.
And again, we mentioned that Johnson, a guy who had a 51-point game earlier in the year. We talk about nothing more dangerous than a volume shooter that's hot. And right now, I'd say Kyle Johnson's starting to feel it.
Mason with the floater again. That time too much float, but the putback by Washington. They are hanging around his right, 78-70. I think you're right. If it stays around 8 or 10, Billy White staying on the bench until the fourth quarter. And again, great hesitation, dribble, draws a defender in. I'm talking about who else but Fearless Friesen, drawing another foul.
And here comes Billy White.
There you go, 3 minutes to go. Coach did it for quite a while, sat him there.
Again, we talked about how we don't think it would come back unless the gap was 10.
It's 8.
If he makes these 2 free throws, that's
It'll
a
be
10-point gap.
You're right. You don't want him getting too cold on the bench either, I don't think.
Agreed.
Players need to stay engaged on the floor as well. That's why you appreciate subs sometimes so much. They sit on the bench for a long period of time, and then the good subs, they just come in and instantly are game ready, and that's not everybody can do that. When you get a substitute that can do that, terrific. And London has a lot of those. Billy White had to come off the bench, sat down there for about 9 minutes, and about 7 minutes he sat. Mason from far out, we know he can make it. He drains it right on cue. Oh my goodness.
Halifax really needed that. That's the kind of shot that you could change the momentum just a bit with.
I agree.
I'd go at White here. He's at 4 fouls.
Yeah, who's White guarding is the question. Got Johnson on him. Bolden, he's got to shoot. Only got 2 seconds to go. Oh my goodness, on the buzzer. What a timely shot by Kyle Johnson. He's made 3 or 4 now in his last few minutes. White pounds the ball down to Cox. Phillips is on him. That's a good matchup between the 2 bigs. Whoa, that was smooth.
Silky smooth shot there from Anthony Cox.
I think it's going to be called ball interference, I think, after the ball went through the net on Halifax. That's a warning on their bench. Next time it'll be a technical. Williamson coming back in the game. Coming in for Maurice Bolden.
Now again, we'll see who Billy White's defending here, but with White at 4 fouls, I'd just be constantly driving at him if I were the London Lightning.
Well, who does that any better than Williamson?
Exactly,
Right?
that's who White's going to have to defend.
Exactly. Oh, Freeze anticipating some contact, but that was Billy White guarding him, so he backed right off. He could have gone straight to the net, easy as pie if he wanted to. White backing his player down, throws it up to Cox. Cox doesn't want to take that jump shot. He'd rather take White on physically. That's definitely a foul on the arm from Royce White. A little too much follow through on the end. Did a good defensive move there, but a better move by Cox.
White's been very disciplined tonight. That's only his first foul of the game.
You see the follow through with his hand on the arm right after. Otherwise, it was a good challenge of the shot. Yeah, you're right. Typically, he has about 4 usually around here. We're always talking about how the coach is going to manage his minutes, right?
Well,
right
last
now,
game,
that's only his first.
Last game, we were talking about him being at 4 or 5 at this point in the game. So great job by him staying out of foul trouble.
Down to a 7-point lead, staying under 10 for the most part. Misses his second. Boy, uncharacteristic, I think, probably from both teams, missing a lot of free throws these past 2 games. So Williamson taking the ball to the hoop, just like that. I cannot convert, but White with the big offensive board. He's got Joey Haywood on him. Poor Joey. Now they get the defense set. Oh, now it's Mason. Another mismatch. Is there help going to be coming? Billy White doesn't want to be too strong on it.
Ooh,
did he reach in?
He fouled.
He's getting 2 shots, and Billy White did a silly reach in. I believe that was on him, was it not?
I believe so, too. I believe that's his 5th.
He couldn't decide if he was going to help out or not help out. Yes, that's a foul.
Yeah, he slapped him right on the wrist.
It wasn't even a high percentage shot. My goodness.
No, it was
If you're going to come and double team, you might as well do it hard, not just prevaricate.
Yeah, and it was reminiscent of his foul earlier in the quarter that sent him to the bench, where he just got a little too opportunistic, trying to get a steal or just stop the ball. Coach Leslie's going to leave him in there for a bit, although I imagine this sub about to come on is for Billy.
Bowen on the floor looking for Billy White. See if he can get something out of him offensively. There's Garrett Williamson on him. Just powerful.
Jeez.
Up top, beautiful left hand, hook shot. Nothing the defender can do. I love that about referee Stellick. We thought it deflected off a Halifax player on that pass. He called it the other way. Everybody around him is roaring at him. He goes, "Okay, maybe I did something wrong here. Let me check." And sure enough, they reversed the call.
The chorus of boos was about a half second away from raining down on
I just loved his reaction, going, "Okay, maybe I made a mistake here. Let me check." And so he did with his fellow referee, and they did change it to London ball. Sometimes you miss things, but you got to be pretty big to admit. Garrett Williamson just taking it to the hoop, realizing his defender's in a poor defensive position. I've said that 4 or 5 times tonight. You want to draw the foul as a defensive player. You got to have good defensive position. You can be moving. No, you can be moving with the player, but you got to be ahead of the player, and you got to be in a good defensive position to draw that. And Williamson is so good at recognizing when the defender is not in a good defensive position, and right away he goes. 84-78. They're still hanging around. 6 points, 49 seconds to go. Billy White to the bench. He really took himself out of the game tonight with his fouls.
Yeah, it's unfortunate too because he's the leading scorer. He's been a good scorer for the Halifax Hurricanes. 11 points, 5 of 6 shooting, but unfortunately hasn't been able to stay on the floor.
Klingscale and Haywood on together. It's Cox with a flash from Bowen, unable to convert, just a little too strong. Look at 3 players hustling for that ball for Halifax, but unfortunately stepped on that out-of-bounds line. Well, 6-shot differential here between the shot clock and the game clock. Halifax should get the ball back. See if they can do a defensive stop here, down by 8. White with a floating left hand behind his head. Circus move, I would call almost.
He's been much more successful in this game because he's doing those cuts whenever he's at that 3-point line. Doing a great job of that tonight.
He just stands up Klingscale. A much smaller man trying to beat him off the dribble, and he just stood his ground. A big basket on one end and a big block on the other end. Here's that move that he makes. Behind his head, almost a circus, Harlem Globetrotters. No, I won't say that. That's not true. That's a great move he made there. Then on the other end, making a defensive stop, and it's ballooned back up to 10 points.
Now, this is a very different situation than Halifax found themselves in last game. Again, it was tied at the start of the 4th quarter in Game 1. So some difficulties here for the Halifax Hurricanes. It's almost the biggest lead that they've seen all game. It's close, 11 being the biggest. But for Halifax, they're going to have to battle here, and they've been trying to battle all game. We'll see if they've got one last haymaker left in them.
There's that silly foul from Billy White that took him out of the game. So 88-78, Lightning over the Hurricanes. Let's have a look at some of the stats here. Get you caught up, fans. Shooting percentages. London Lightning, what do I see that right?
61%.
Oh my goodness. 3-pointers, 8 for 18 and 5 for 13. Quite a difference from last night. And the free throws, 16 for 21 for London, 9 for 13. Both of them leaving points on the line. Rebounding much more even tonight.
We talked about timeouts being, turnovers being a big issue. There haven't been as many turnovers, but one of the differences between last game and this one is last game both teams were converting points off those turnovers. This game, London, with the same amount of turnovers as Halifax, London's gotten 18 points off the turnovers compared to only 9 for Halifax. That indicates that London's been much more successful in transition, something they actually struggled with in the first half, but they've been a lot better in transition here.
Well, we have seen London win all kinds of ways, all kinds of opponents. We've seen them win big, come from behind, scratch it out. Tonight, going toe-to-toe with Halifax. Halifax keeping it close, but they're going to have to pull something out of the arsenal here, and Billy White's one of their weapons, missing in action at the moment. Like all those metaphors, similes. Those are pretty cool, eh? Come on.
Very well done, John.
Well, yeah, just off the top of my head, Well, White getting a lot of playing time here. Royce White I'm talking about. This is Williamson again. Look at that step over move. Unable to convert that time, though. Uncharacteristically. Look at Haywood. He's so fast. Dives for the ball and gives it to Washington with sort of the oopsie basket, but he'll take it. Lots of energy and pop yet for Halifax, I see. Williamson gets the ball knocked from behind. This is a free run out for Bowen. 2 quick baskets for Halifax. They're back within 6.
Nice little steal there from Cliff Clinkscales. Undersized, trying to guard Williamson. Well, he will make a quick hands and get a steal there.
Johnson, the hot shooter earlier, pulls up the soft jumper, unable to convert.
It's going to be a foul on Clinkscales there, holding Williamson down.
Yeah, Williamson in good position for offensive board. No, that's all he could do was hang on. Was Clinkscale to keep him to the ground. That's the first foul of this quarter. We'll keep an eye on that. At the 7th foul, both teams will shoot 2. Haven't seen much of Ryan Anderson here in the second half. Herring going up, just hands it off to White. That would have been a terrific slam, but Doug Herring Jr. gains the foul. That's the second team foul in the first minute of play here on Halifax. The referee's doing a good job keeping this game in control, I think. Anderson back on the floor now, looking for a 3. Unable to get a shot off. This is Royce White, a little pump fake and the handoff to Johnson. Takes one dribble and he makes it, falling away out of bounds. Another 3. That is huge for London. And
big answer there.
C.J. Washington. Did not expect that from him outside. That was a set play.
That's his first 3-point attempt of the game.
Williamson again taking it to the hoop, unable to convert. Working hard on the offensive board, but Halifax is running with it. That's Haywood. This is Bowen up top. They're looking inside. Going to drive to the hoop. That time, that's what I meant by Williamson did good defensive position. He was all over the man, but he's moving with them. So no foul called. Good no call by the referee. Great basket by Bowen. Give it to the hot man. Has he still got the feel? He does! Oh my goodness! That spells danger for Halifax. You keep letting Kyle Johnson shoot. That coach is going to keep him in there. He's not going to take him out. Over the top to Washington. That's going to be on the floor, I believe, on Anderson before the shot. That's the second or third time we've seen that tonight where Anderson's fronting the man. He's getting pinned, and they're throwing the ball right over top of him. Yeah, so that should be on the floor, yes. So that's the first team foul for Lightning. Williamson going to the bench. Phillips inside. I think sort of help on the defensive side so Anderson doesn't get mismatched with the big guy and trying to front him all the time.
Yeah, it allows Anderson to play his more natural guard position.
Boy, that would have been huge if Washington made that second one. Oh, where's that ball going from Ryan Anderson? Just a left-handed flip pass. Like I say, you feel like London should be a lot farther ahead, don't you? They're only up by 7. Phillips with a big man board in traffic. They're only up by 7, but you get the feeling London should be farther ahead.
Well, they've had the momentum on their side for a while. They just haven't been able to execute aside from a couple of big threes from Kyle Johnson.
Give credit to Halifax. That'll definitely be a block, and that's a continuation call. A little surprising in this level of play. You usually only see the extra step given in the NBA, but tonight the referee gave it to Marvin Phillips. He must have been in his shooting motion. Looks like, I guess that's a good call based on the replay. Big basket by Phillips.
We're going to see Billy White come back in here. I think at this point you kind of have to.
I think so too. He's got 2 fouls left to play with yet, right?
One.
So, has he got 5?
Yeah, he's at 5.
That's right. He came in with 3, had 2 quick ones. Oh my goodness, he's even worse than I thought it was.
But I mean, at this point, you haven't really seen anything from Halifax that would indicate that they're going to close this gap. So I think you got to bring Billy back in here and see what can happen.
Next to old-fashioned 3-point shot. Nothing wrong with old-fashioned. So White with the ball up top. Matchup with Billy and Royce White. He's going to take the 3. He's made one earlier, not tonight, not one. Doug Herring slowing the play down. I think they want to use the clock if they can. But no, they're going right to the hoop because that was an easy play. It should have been for Doug Herring Jr. He does not make it, gives him a chance. In the corner goes for Washington. Just takes it right to the hoop. And then the soft touch. Quick basket. That took less than 5 seconds.
Washington quietly with 24 points in this game. Much like Billy White last game, he's really been consistent from tip-off to buzzer.
Well, you said they needed to find some other people to put some big scores up. Washington doing his part. That's a great play by Watson, slapping the ball out of Kyle Johnson's hands off his leg, out of bounds. Halifax ball. They are not going away.
Not even a little bit. And this is the lineup that has really had success against London. So watch out here. That time you could see Billy got scared. He might have a charging call there. He had to really try to avoid contact.
I was going to say it wasn't on White, was it? It was on Washington. I was like holding my breath for Halifax.
But you could see the way Billy went up there, that he was really trying to avoid the contact.
Yeah,
really nervous.
Charge,
he was really nervous about the charge there.
I hear you. It affected his shot. It always should have been an easy putback for him. London escaped that one. This is Anderson. This is one-on-one with White. White just stayed with him. No foul called. Good call, I think. Good no call. And Mason with a quick run out. Again, less than 5 seconds from one end to the other. 97-91, 6-point game. Lots of time left, 7:33. London playing with the 2 bigs, the 2 threes, and Junior Cadogan. Talking Anderson and Johnson, White and Phillips. Phillips going to take it against. Good no call by the referee, I thought, that time against White. It might have been a foul, but it wasn't blatant enough to give him a star player and get him out of the game. I thought it was a great no call by the ref, and Phillips puts in the putback. Mason with a quick 3. Quick trigger there. That's going to be a holding foul on Phillips, on Mason. No, on Washington.
Not a lot of foul trouble for London. You've got 4 on Ryan Anderson, but otherwise they've been mostly staying out of trouble here.
Oh, a hot shooter for London on the bench. That was almost a steal by Anderson again. That should be...
It's an and one right there.
Yes. Friesen uncharacteristically did not hold his position, but he sees a big burly Watson coming down the track. I'm thinking might discretion is a better part of valor there. You can see him move at the last second and looking for the impact. So at least there's consistency in the call here. I like that. They gave the continuation to Phillips down here, and they gave the continuation to Watson down on this end. Phillips almost got his man up in the air. This is Anderson. He's got his man spinning around in circles. That was Billy White, but he could not convert to 3. He's been cold the last couple of games. Mason taking the ball to the hoop again. Good passing underneath. And good help by Royce White on Watson. Tyrone Watson thought he had an easy putback. That was a good pass from Billy White. Good ball move by Halifax again.
That's an important block because Halifax really had a good-looking opportunity there. Royce White just slaps that one away, and now London gets to set up defensively. We're going to see Mo Bolden come into the game for Marvin Phillips here. And also Williamson for Ryan Anderson. Turnover again at a costly time.
Yes, it is. Like I said, there are a few different rules in this league. You know, part of it's the ball on the rim. You can touch it once it hits the rim. You know, the foul situation, 7 fouls. You know, you shoot 2. It's not like a 1-and-1. And there's another example of really sort of a modified rule adopted from FIBA. In the NBA, of course, you can throw it all the way to the backcourt, or in the college ball, I should say. Yeah. Little floater by White. Just mistimed that a little bit. 99-94, 5-point lead here. Mason driving to the hoop again. And the terrific staying with the ball was Friesen that time. Into White, and that took less than 5 seconds. Well, good playing by London Lightning. Clinkscales gets his teams organized. We're really trying to get Billy White involved here, but London doing a good job denying getting the ball to him. Here he is against Williams. I don't know why Bolden didn't come hard that time to him. He backed right off.
Yeah, that was a tough one for Williamson to have to try to defend there.
Yeah, Bolden came to help, but he didn't come all the way. I don't know if his mind's all in the game, but he's out there playing anyway, giving it his best. Again, a bit of a force. A la Charles Barkley, a dunk from 2 feet, no running, no jumping, just go up and dunk. Tyrone Watson with the ball with White on him. Back to Clinkscale, throwing it into the key. This is Washington, and he makes it.
Again, just a quietly great performance here from C.J. Washington.
He really is coming through for them.
It's 26 points in the game now with a chance to add 1 more here at the line alongside 8 rebounds and 4 assists. And most importantly, he's in a little bit of foul trouble too. He's got 4, but he's been playing very disciplined, so he's been able to play at that foul limit for a while now.
You wouldn't know he's not playing like he's got 4. Washington coming through big, back to 5 points again. Between Halifax and London here in the second game of the finals.
There's really been quite a few standout performances. Of course, Washington with the 26 that we mentioned. Antoine Mason, 21 points. Billy White, I'm going to put him in there. He's only got 13, but of 6 of 9 shooting, and of course, he's been limited in his minutes. For London, you got 27 and 10 from Royce White, another double-double. He's only not recorded a double-double in game 1. Every other game, he's had that achievement. And then 24 points from Kyle Johnson on 9 of 13 shooting, 6 of 8 from beyond the arc. So a blistering hot night for Kyle Johnson.
Well, Halifax staying on the assist total as well, 25 for both teams. Typically, London has been the league leader all year long, typically outpass the rest of the teams, but Halifax staying right with them. Rebound-wise, London doing a much better job tonight of staying on the rebound. They still have allowed 11 offensive boards, though.
I think a part of that rebound thing is the fact that Billy White's had to sit as much. He had 15 rebounds in game 1 there, and he hasn't been able to play as many minutes here in game 2. He really is a great player, and as a fan, it's a little disappointing that he's had to spend so much time on the bench because he's a really fun guy to watch.
Okay, down to the last few minutes. Let's see what comes up. So we've got Friesen and Bolden along with Cadogan, Williamson, and Royce White out on the floor for the London Lightning. 4:56 to go in this game. Lots of time left to decide a winner. Tyrone Watson along with Clinkscale and Washington. That's Cox down there along with Mason. Washington's going to go to the line to see if they can get a three-point play here off that terrific continuation play. And he makes it. Cuts it down to 4 points. Wow. We got a barnstorm going here to the end of this game, I think. Nobody running away with it. Halifax had a decent lead. London came roaring back in the second quarter. Haven't relinquished it since then, but Halifax has not let them get out of distance. There's Cadogan feeling the need to take that shot because
Ty Watson looks hurt.
He does. He is.
He and C.J. Washington collided really hard there.
I don't know if his head hit the floor or what happened.
I think his head
there.
hit Washington.
So the two teammates collided, did they? On that shot from
Let's see
Cadogan.
if we got the replay here.
See if we can see it in the bottom corner here. See what happens here.
Keep an eye on number 20 there. Yeah, he ran head first into the face of C.J. Washington.
He did, and then he went flying down to the floor, and I don't know if he banged his head or not, but he certainly was up slow for a big burly fella like Tyrone Watson to be laying on the floor. You know he's got to be hurt.
Again, Tyrone Watson, not a guy you usually see hit the floor unless he's going for a loose ball.
Lots of pressure here and a holding foul on Friesen. That'll put them at 5 team fouls. We're watching that as well. 4 team fouls for Halifax. That might come into play the last few minutes of the game for shooting fouls.
Disciplined quarter, too, because Halifax spotted London with 4 fouls at the start of the quarter.
They did, you're right. Mason draws the foul. That time
That's another one.
Williamson, I think. Yes. Halifax really putting the pressure on London here. The fans not agreeing with that call. Let's have a look here. I can't see. I really saw some contact unless there's some pushing underneath on the hip that we can't see from this side. The referees were in a good position for that. And this is the first. So one more foul in London, and Halifax will be shooting every time they get fouled. Substitution in, Williamson out, Anderson in. Royce White's played a lot of minutes tonight.
Well, I mean, when he's not in foul trouble, play him every minute you can, and that's what we've seen Coach
Never
Julius
looks like
doing.
he gets tired, does he?
No. No luck for Friesen there.
Cadogan chases it down. Another three-point attempt by Friesen that time.
He knew it immediately.
He did. I don't think that was the play that London was looking for. This is not the one that Kyle Julius was looking for. Terrific finish after contact by Billy White. Timeout Lightning. Coach Julius not liking what he's seen. 2 quick threes by Friesen, even though he has hit a number in this last game and this game. He was not happy with the timing of those shots. And a quick put back by Billy White cuts it to 3 points.
Well, that 3-point cut down is really important for the Halifax Hurricanes, down 10 not all that long ago. Billy White and C.J. Washington, both sitting in foul trouble, have done an excellent job providing minutes, providing interior play, and not making things easy for the London Lightning despite the fact that they're in foul trouble. Excellent disciplined work from those guys. So that front court really stepped up for Halifax and put London in a bit of trouble here. Still up 3, so it's not the worst situation. They're obviously in a good spot. But for the London Lightning, they could see the momentum shifting. Again, both coaches so sensitive to the fact that momentum could shift at any moment, not letting either team get an inch here. Smart time out there, get your team back together, get something drawn up, get things going back in your favor.
Well, let's see who's coming out for the final 3:42 here. I think Williamson was just off for a second. Looks like he's back on the floor again. Along with Phillips and White, Cadogan, and Anderson. Billy White on the floor with Watson, who has played tons of minutes as Tyrone Watson. Mason's on the floor. Washington's played a lot of minutes tonight. And then, of course, the point guard general, Clifford Clinkscale. Full court pressure here on Cadogan. Ball thrown up to Anderson. Clinkscale just a little pest out there, isn't he? You got to be so careful with the ball with him. And again, Williamson with that terrific head fake, but that flash move into the key and terrific pass from Royce White outside the 3-point with that zip pass that you talked about earlier, just right on target. He just could have been a football quarterback.
Yeah, it's just a perfect pass almost every time. And you know, with quarterbacks, they talk about how it just kind of lands in the hand. With Royce White, his passes, you know, just put your hands up and he'll hit you right in that little triangle when you hold the hands up.
Exactly. And again, a missed foul shot, but an offensive board that time. Another
Smart by
possession.
Cadogan. Pull it outside, waste some clock.
Execute the play again, they're talking. Execute. It's all about execution. There's White, he's in traffic. Oh, gonna call a travel.
Yeah, Mason got a hand on the ball, and that disturbed it just enough that White had to take the extra step there.
You sort of thought it was a travel, then you sort of thought it wasn't a travel, and then the ref did call it a travel. So at first I thought it was, and I thought, oh, I don't think it was. But the referee called it.
I think Mason just disturbed the ball enough that White had to take an extra step to get it back under control.
Well, White didn't really argue about it, so. Looking inside for Washington, he's got Cadogan. And Watson, wow, dude, big double take as Friesen coming hard at him, puts it in, down to 2 points.
Great pass and great finish there. Washington really finding Watson at a time where he didn't really see that pass coming, and then Watson able to finish with a tough finish.
Good defense by Watson that time on White, just holding his ground. Linkskill just running the offense. Watson backing down a smaller defender. That's Garrett Williamson we're talking about. Williamson just battling out there. That's what you gotta love about him, right? Doesn't matter who he's guarding, he's gonna battle yet. He's strapped for that ball. Trying to run a set play. We can see Coach Kyle Julius calling out the plays from the sideline. Down to 7 seconds though. A little step over. He's gonna have to shoot the ball with 3 seconds to go. He gets the ball up in the air, touches the rim, but no chance of going in. A poor possession that time for London. Taking way too much time. And that's going to be a foul on Anderson, I think. His 5th, I believe, right? Yes. Again, Mason doing a good job drawing the foul, getting into the lane.
And, you know, Mason hasn't had, he's got 22 points, which is a great night, but he hasn't had that 30 or the 3-point shooting that we've seen, but he still had a great night, doing a lot of little things right, and this time able to get himself to the line.
Well, he certainly had in his head tonight to drive the lane, and they're doing it very successful tonight.
It shows him what a versatile scorer he is, in that, you know, one game he's scoring from the 3-point line, he's shooting with a hand in his face and nailing the shot anyway. And then game 2, we see him mostly doing his damage right at the free throw line, whether it's dropping a floater from there or a jump shot or getting himself to the free throw line.
Well, Halifax is feeling that they can steal this game. I can see it in the body language. And Billy White really exhorting his teammates. Again, another missed shot and a missed rebound. This time by Phillips, and Klinkskill steals in for the 1-point lead. Under 2 minutes to go.
And that's a letdown there. London, you've had the lead almost 10 points the entire quarter. This is a really bad time to have that slip up.
That's a tripping, a holding foul, I think, on Halifax. That puts them at 16 fouls. Lightning already at 7. Doug Herring Jr. coming in. Coming in for who? Coming in for
Cadogan there.
Yes, he is.
I think Cadogan wanted to stay on the floor there.
I think this, based on what I'm seeing, Herring's going down to the post with Klinkskill on him. I think something's up.
They've been able to take advantage of that mismatch already.
From behind the backboard and blocked by Billy White nonetheless.
I love what Tyrone Watson did defensively there when Williamson was trying to make that cut along the baseline to the rim. Watson was able to hold his ground on White and then a last second jump in Williamson's way. We've seen Williamson end up with 2 points or a foul. Watson prevented that from happening by stepping in the way, forcing Anderson to take a late shot.
And in the far corner, no less, as well. Wide open underneath for White. What happened that time? But no hesitation here. Halifax running down the floor as quick as they can. And he puts it in. Gets the lead right back. Does Mason. My goodness. Minute 17 to go. Deflected pass from White. Klinkskill going to give it to Mason. He's been scoring. White just stood his ground. Mason made the layup, and they're up by 3. They might steal this game. You never know. 111, 108. London trying to stay composed. unable to convert. The easy putback was Herring Jr. This one is slipping away for London. Halifax has got to play it smart. They get fouled, they're going to the foul line. 16 seconds left in the shot clock, 40 seconds in the game. Big stop here needed by London Lightning if they want to hang on. A big basket for Halifax will go a long ways. A terrific play and a steal though from Halifax. That's Mason unable to convert, and a putback he could not make either. They need a 3-2.
Control.
He's going to go to the foul line. That's a good foul by Clinkscale actually on that drive to the hoop.
Prevents the easy bucket.
Yes,
I like that
exactly.
foul a lot. Prevents the easy bucket. Forces them to earn it at the free throw line here.
What's the percentage tonight?
London shooting 75% from the free throw line. Williamson himself, 8 of 11.
Yeah, he's been the most of the foul line, I think. So.
By far.
He sort of landed awkwardly out of bounds after that layup. Trying to get his breath back. Get his equilibrium back on the foul line.
Williamson,
down by 3.
Williamson, a 76% free throw shooter this season.
So I would think Halifax would probably hang on to the ball and let themselves get fouled. And I think London's probably going to have to foul real quick. Timeout for Halifax, I'm sure. So a 1-point game here with the advantage to the Hurricanes with only 16 or 17 seconds left. And London Lightning with 17 fouls.
So no matter what, London's probably got a foul here and send them to the free throw line, one would think. Tough spot for the Lightning. If you're looking at the Halifax Hurricanes here, there are some guys who've been shooting well from the free throw line. Aaron Bowen actually, 2 for 2, the only perfect guy. Team as a whole shooting 68%, 13 of 19 from the free throw line in this game.
Well, I don't think it would make any sense for London to let them dribble the ball up. Maybe put a quick double team, see if you can cause a turnover, but otherwise, you got to stop that clock with only 18 seconds. Well, how many seconds are left exactly? About
18.1.
18.1. Okay, I thought I was around 18. So advantage is Halifax, 1-point advantage. Advantage with possession as well. They have the ball.
I wouldn't be surprised, and I think he is coming in. Joey Haywood coming into the game, an 85% free throw shooter. I think Halifax is going to be looking to get the ball to him.
Halifax a bit slow coming out of the timeout. Referees are walking over. This would be huge for Halifax to come back with a split in the first 2 games.
Keep in mind, London has been in this spot before. Game 2 against the Windsor Express. London found themselves in this exact situation. They got the stop, went down, and got the buzzer beater layup. This has happened in playoffs before. Halifax needs to convert some points here.
Halifax needs to get something out of it. They need to get to the foul line or get an easy basket if they throw it out of a double team. So the ball gets advanced, I believe, to half. Yes, it does. And Clinkscale, the smallest guy in the court, is throwing the ball in bounds. I've always been an advocate of having somebody tall throw it in. Now you're throwing over a much taller defender.
Again, keep an eye on Joey Haywood here. That's almost assuredly who they're trying to get the ball to.
Billy White gets it. That's over and back. Oh, he's on the line. We saw that. He gets double teamed. That's going to be a held ball. But I think
jump ball arrow in Halifax's favor.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. It looked like Billy White stepped on the half line, but maybe did not have control of the ball, is what the referees are saying. But
I think White had knocked it out of White's hands before he went over.
Should be another timeout call here, I would think. Yes, there is.
That was kind of...
Halifax had all the aces in the hole there. They had possession, right? They're up by 1. Held ball goes in their way as well. Everything going right for them. See if they can hang on for the last 11 seconds.
And they had the possession arrow in their favor as well, so...
I said that, didn't I?
Yes, pardon me.
I thought I said that. I didn't say the word possession. Yes.
There you go.
Okay.
But with the arrow in their favor, that means all they did was kill clock, so London essentially just ended up burning 7 seconds.
That's what I thought,
with
yeah.
no accomplishment there. That's kind of not the worst thing that could have happened, but not a great outcome for them. Look for them to be employing the exact same strategy here, get a foul quick, and see if you can get the ball into Joey Haywood's hands. I'm a little surprised they went to Joey Haywood, but Billy White also a good option. 77% free throw shooter. Really, of all the guys on the floor for the Halifax Hurricanes, none really necessarily a bad free throw shooter. All of them pretty darn good from the charity stripe.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Good coaching.
Closest weak link would be Antoine Mason, only a 67% free throw shooter. Everyone else that was out there were pretty well above 75.
Okay, Halifax with the ball again in the same place. They're inbounding it on the sideline. Again, Klinkskill throwing it in. Who is the ball going to? I think you're right about Haywood this time, though.
Well, he already did the move to Billy White. They really covered Haywood there before. Here he comes. Herring blocked it out, though. That's over and back for sure.
And no foul called either. There could have been a foul, maybe a push by Royce White. He was putting tremendous pressure on the ball at half on Washington. I think Washington was sort of expecting to get shoved, and he just got lightly touched. The referee didn't think it was enough contact to warrant a foul, and he stepped over the line. And over and back it is.
Now we're almost exactly in the same situation we were in that Windsor game. Game 2, of course, where Garrett Williamson hit the game-winning layup with a little tip in there. And London now with about 10 seconds left, finding themselves drawing up what they hope to be the game-winning play. And Halifax putting together what they hope to be the game-winning defense here.
Well, I don't know why they passed the ball so close to half. Like, why would you not put the ball somewhere around the three-point line or down in the corner? So you're not going to risk it over a back. You might be at risk getting double-teamed, call another timeout.
And you saw that London was able to play that tight defense. You know what they were trying to do. It was almost played out exactly like the previous possession.
Exactly.
So you knew exactly what was coming. They actually had Haywood break open there, and that's where you wonder maybe they should have had someone taller inbounding it, because with Doug Herring there, Doug Herring completely blocked it out, but if you have someone taller and Haywood opens up like that, you can hit him there.
Speaking to the choir. But anyway, we'll see if Halifax is going to pay for that lapse of execution from out of bounds.
9.8 seconds on the clock.
Plenty of time to set up a play. I would think they would probably give it to somebody like a Royce White or a Williamson inside. Williamson either driving inside or White doing a post play of some kind, I would think. There's plenty of time, 10 seconds to bring the ball inbounds, get it to a set play from the three-point line and put it where you want it.
Billy White, much bigger defender here to cover Ryan Anderson.
That's a terrific coaching on Halifax. Rich Delick, the referee, tell him, make sure you're giving your space for the man to put it in bounds. There it is, Herring up top. Got to get it organized quick. It's going to White. He's going to have to bring it to the hoop. This is Williamson. He's going to be going to the hoop. We can see it already. Anderson with a wild three-point shot. No, not going to happen. They never allowed Garrett Williamson to turn the corner, which was the play to drive it to the hoop. And Halifax steals a game here in London, 111-110. Great comeback, great play by Halifax. Even though they overcame a couple of mistakes at the end there, they hung on. Williamson disconsolate on the floor. He was supposed to turn that corner, but that was Watson again, I think, hedging, closing off that
played
drive.
That perfectly. Magnificent defense from Tyrone Watson on that final play.
Very, very much so. So, a tie series. My goodness.
Look at that.
We got a series. So going back to Halifax, I'm trying to think of what the schedule was. I think it was Monday or Tuesday they were playing. They're playing 3 games next week before it would ever come back to London on the following Monday night. So again, a heavy schedule for Halifax, and now of course London in the middle of that heavy schedule as well. The game's sort of being really packed in for these finals.
Yeah, of course, we're going to take a look at the schedule upcoming. Their next game is going to be on May 30th, 7 p.m. in Halifax. Then they play again 2 days later, and then 2 days after that.
So every other day they're playing.
Yep, so 3 games in Halifax, and then depending on the outcome there's a chance they'd be coming back here June 5th for Game 6 and June 6th for Game 7 potentially.
Those are back
depending on how that goes out
games,
east.
are they? 5th and the 6th?
Yes.
Wow.
That's going to be a tough schedule for both teams.
No kidding. My goodness. So 111, 110, the hero of the game, I'm not sure for Halifax. I'm going to say Mason made some clutch plays down there in the end. Billy White out of action there for quite a bit of the second half. And really, Kyle Johnston not on the floor for that last possession for London either.
Yeah, he was shooting the ball very well, but I think Coach Julius just looking to go with the lineup that he found most effective. I think he wanted Phillips and White in there to be the big bodies to set some screens and try to open something up. But again, I think Tyrone Watson just did a magnificent job making that difficult.
Absolutely. Well, we call it either Williamson or White, and it was a handoff from White to Williamson to turn the corner, but he was denied and had to hand it off to Ryan Anderson. So 111, 110. We're going to make sure that you get another wrap up from Aaron as well at the center court, along with Audley, I believe, and a guest. So just having a look at some more of the stats here if I can. Oh, absolutely. So, series tied. Two best teams in the league. Defending champion, Halifax Hurricanes. We're going to turn it over to Aaron at half court for the final wrap-up of this game. Till the next time, sports fans.
Folks, and it's quite unbelievable how this game really came to be. For the London Lightning, their 23 home game winning streak comes to an end right here to a resurging Halifax Hurricanes team who needed this win, and they wrapped it up 111 to 110. This is Aaron Sanders courtside with you. We look quickly at the stats. Royce White gets another double-double in his name, finishing off with 29 points, 10 assists to his name. But Garrett Williamson played his heart out with 18 points, but Kyle Johnson, out of all people, went on fire, scoring 24 points flat. That's amazing what this guy could do, but then again, this is the same guy that scored 51 points earlier in the season. Now we go over to the Halifax Hurricanes. What an interesting fact this is and what this game has turned out to be for them. 5 players in double scoring figures. We have C.J. Washington with the double-double himself, 27 points and 12 rebounds to his name, but I'm also impressed by Billy White. And we mentioned this at the halftime, the fierce one-on-one, mano-a-mano against Billy White and Royce White. And in that favor, Royce won it, but it was the Hurricanes that came out with the victory. And a lot of things that could be taken in, considering if you're the Hurricanes, now you got home court advantage because games 3, 4, and 5 will be at Scotiabank Center. And as for the London Lightning, this is something they're unaccustomed to, but as they do over and over again, they come back, they rise up, and they take things over. And that could be the case if it comes to all that. A lot of people said that this game was scrappy, but I thought this was a great game right down to the middle. The last few possessions were something that you really got to take in. But if you're down by 1, you got to make sure you make the decisions yourself. You can take it in your own hands. So mighty applause to Garrett Williamson for taking the last shot, but it did not go for him. But he's been very efficient during the playoffs, so you got to expect same thing over and over again from him. So the series stands at 1 game apiece, and both of these clubs shot over 50%. London Lightning almost scoring 60% from the field. As for the Halifax Hurricanes, they go around with a solid finishing up 55% from the field. So both clubs shooting really well, really wise shots they took, and they were allowing everybody to work in together and get into the pick and roll game as well as the transition game, which we rarely seen yesterday, but tonight it's a different story because the Halifax Hurricanes won it. So that does it from this game right here. And now here's the thought now. This game could finish off in Halifax. This series could finish off, as a matter of fact. And should this be it for all of us here, let me just formally say that it's been a pleasure covering all these broadcasts for you, whether in London or over there in Windsor. It has been a high pleasure. We have a great crew here, ranging from Izzy, Ale, and Alex, our producer, going on to Jeremy James, and then, of course, our broadcasters, too, John Van Halen, Chris Croucher. All those guys came together, made this work for, I would say, about 45 games this season, if I'm not mistaken. But it was an amazing ride. But like I said, just in case this is it and the game finishes up in Halifax. But once again, It has been an amazing ride, but now we get to see what goes on down the east side. Over to Halifax we go for Game 3 of the NBL Canada Finals, which is in a couple of days, so be sure you tune in on that. Once again, big thank you to Vince Williams from the Hurricanes and Audley Stevenson for joining us. It was fun, to say the least, but you've seen from how we presented ourselves, it was a blast. That does it for us right here. Once again, final score, 111 to 110. Halifax Hurricanes tie the series up, and now the Game 5 will be a reality. Thank you again for watching, and we hope to see you all real soon. This has been a presentation of Knockstrom Digital Media, producing the media excellence in Southern Ontario. I don't say goodbye. Of course, you guys know that, so until we meet again, this be Aaron Sanders from Budweiser Gardens saying so long from the Forest City.